As we celebrate International Women's Day, we have with us a trailblazer in public service. She was the first woman to join the Indian Police Service. Her leadership was instrumental in introducing prison reform in India. Kiran Bedi ji, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Ma'am, when you entered the IPS, policing was seen as something not for women. What did institutional resistance look like then? And how should today's young women interpret those battles?
Well, there was quite a surprise and a shock and an awe that a woman has finally entered the male domain of the Indian Police Service. There's a lot of shock, a lot of awe, and a lot of anticipation. How will it work? And there was a great doubt, will it work? See, so only my family and myself knew it will work. Only we, nobody else. Nobody else. If you ask me, even the department did not believe it would work, having a woman in the Indian Police Service. But I knew and my parents knew it will work. Why? Because I think what was important is, why did I have that self-belief it will work? Because of the way I had brought myself up.
Yes.
Sports girl, national and a nation tennis champion, an NCC cadet, an academic all-rounder, and strong
Yes.
in academics. So all-rounder, there's a mental and a physical tenacity and a determination. So I knew it would work. But I must tell you, it welcomed it. It
Yes.
welcomed it. It welcomed the change. Seniors or juniors selectively. Seniors selectively, but juniors by and large, they welcomed the change.
So you were saying that the family support is something that you got at the right time, and that's something that pushed you.
Yeah, it is a family support. Nahi hai. It is the upbringing. It's a grooming. See, girls are product of a family upbringing. Always remember, girls are a product of the family upbringing. So are the boys. We are all
Yes.
a product of the upbringing of our families. And families have to get the credit or the discredit.
Hmm.
So I'm a
But do
product
you,
of totally my family upbringing. And then, of course, self-management.
but ma'am, do you believe that India still limits girls through subtle structural barriers, even if not openly?
It does. It does. It is a legacy also, mindset also, and growth mindset also. The Indian society has both. It is holding its girls back also. It's allowing them a little and then also controlling and then letting go them go. It's in all three levels. Poor Indian girls are caught in the history also, legacy also, and also in a conflict where they can make progress. And third is they who've gone out of the orbit of negativity and got only into growth mindset. You have all the three levels. So are parents divided. They're not sure. They're not sure. And the real problem comes in when they want to now have the girls married, is where
Hmm.
will they find the right companion for somebody
Absolutely.
who's already progressed in life and wants to work and earn a living, and then will she be allowed, will she get the right companion who will then support her in what she wants, or in a conflict, in that case how will we get her married? I think the marriage is the real challenge for that middle class.
Yes. But ma'am, did you ever feel that women officers are, forced somewhere to overperform just to be considered equal in policing?
No, I think the expectation is to perform equally, not overperform, equal to the profession in mind. Whatever the challenge you have, the expectation of the department is to deliver. Because now that you are here to serve the people and you have
Mm-hmm.
given a task, you have to perform. And if it demands longer hours, then you have to give. If it requires stamina, you have to give. It
Yes.
requires courage and risk taking, you have to give. And that's why they're
Right.
trained equally. They trained equally to perform equally. But you can't have trained equally but perform unequally. You can't have
Absolutely.
you can't do that. That's being unfair to the men. And it's also unfair to the department, because if you have got a position, then you have to take the responsibility along with the men. But if you don't do shared responsibility, who will fill in the gap? Who will
Yes.
fill in the vacuum? The men, who are already
Hmm.
overstrained. So you
Yes.
can't be unfair. So you have to do, if you've chosen. So families have to be equally supportive in while upbringing. Once the woman has entered the profession, to be equally supportive. My problem is the parent family supports, but sometimes the married family does not.
Yes.
That's where the conflict comes. And that's when she declines, she withdraws, and she underperforms. Or she looks for easier way out, which I think the problem here is between the conflict between pre-marriage and post-marriage. And in
Yes.
post-marriage also, motherhood.
Hmm.
Motherhood.
Hmm.
How do you handle motherhood? Because here is
Correct.
a uniform service where now the child is equally wanting to share, take your time. So where's the
Yes.
extra time? Where's that extra time? And sometimes aging parents want your time. Where's that extra time? After all, time
Yes.
is limited.
Correct, ma'am.
So,
But even in your case, when you were denied a transfer request, despite your daughter's health concern, and there were many such situations. It's not just about you, but when many women face this kind of challenges. But how did you balance being a mother and a public servant?
because there was a consistency in family support. There was no conflict in family support. On the contrary, it strengthened each other.
Yes.
It strengthened each other. So there was a strengthening. It was collaborative support. You can't have a conflicting support. If you have a conflicting support, then the woman is in problem. She's
Hmm.
in a dilemma. What do I do? Who do I go to? How do I
Correct.
manage? Because then she's on her own. So that is when she needs, if she's grown up this way for this purpose, then marriage should become supportive and not an obstruction, not a
Hmm.
hindrance, but a strength, not a weakness. And
Okay,
that's
ma'am.
where
But
it's not assured. That doesn't happen many times. I've come across people who, when women have gone in, then after some time, they go back to the officers and looking for easier options. And
correct.
sometimes the police department does not give you easier options. It is very
Hmm.
demanding.
Yes.
And without family support, particularly in the married life, it either becomes a strength or your weakness.
Weakness. Ma'am, but did being a woman administrator change the way you were politically challenged compared to male counterpart? Or otherwise, also, do you think women generally treated differently when they challenge power structures?
Yes, women have a natural. Uh, mm, I think there's a natural um, perception. How does a
Yes,
male politician view a male colleague, male junior or his junior, and how does
hmm.
he perceive a female colleague and junior? Because there are two ways. How do they deal with it? I think it's quite an art. But there's a difference. The way they communicate with the man and the way they
Hmm.
communicate with the woman.
With a woman.
There is a difference in communication. And the needs are also sometimes different. Skill set is different.
Yes.
Character traits are different. Preferences are different. Backgrounds are different. And that's where it is the skill of the superior, male or female now. A
Hmm.
superior can be man or a woman. Is how do they judge a person, not as a man or as a woman, but now as a person. A person who has to be made to realize the potential fully for the sake of the department. So how do
Hmm.
you place that person, man or woman? Remember, man too can be in need of help. A
Yes.
man too can be in need of help. So now a question is the test for the senior, whether it's a politician or a public official, is how do they make sure that the person before it realizes their potential fully for which they were recruited. And for men,
Hmm.
they take it for granted that they will find the help, They'll survive somehow and they'll suffer. But women, they can't take for granted. Why?
Yes.
Why? Because there are dependents on her, particularly when she becomes a mother, over which she has no control. There
Correct.
are dependents and their children and their
Hmm.
dependent families. And the social support network does not provide. Social
Hmm.
support network does not provide. Social systems don't provide. In the corporate world, they've had provision for playway schools and aftercare
Yes.
homes. But here, none. The police department has hardly any. That
Hmm.
network is missing.
So, ma'am, do you think that actually institutions should be redesigned to improve or remove gender bias? Do you think
No,
institutions should be
redesigning is
redesigned to
important.
remove gender bias?
Redesigning is important. See, earlier, remember, there were police stations with no female toilets.
Yes.
Now the new buildings are having female barrack or male barrack. Earlier, there was
Hmm.
only one barrack, and there was no stay place for a woman up to rest. There was no
Yes.
rest room for a woman.
Hmm.
It's changed. Now you have female toilets, a female rest. But that's an exception at the moment. It's not part of the architecture because these
Yes.
buildings are old. They were built much earlier, so they have to be literally added on.
Hmm.
Private schools for where does the child girl or the police officer leave the child before she goes for duty? Or is there a house? Does she have an accommodation close by? If she is posted somewhere from different, or a hostel for the children, hostel for female children, a
Yes.
hostel, a boarding school. So boarding schools for police officers' children, particularly where women are needed, I think are in the need of the. It's not yet part of the architecture, or
Yes.
there's a special place where a female a police officer, a woman officer, wants to have her child get into a boarding school close by. She gets admission close by so
Hmm.
that she can visit her over the weekend. So I think all these have to become gradually part of the ecosystem, which is taking its
Yes.
time and it has its costs. But those
Correct.
costs have to be paid because without women in policing, there is no policing now.
Correct.
Policing is deficient without women cops.
Correct, ma'am. If I ask you about representation of women in public service and politics has actually improved. But compared to Western democracies, are we doing enough as society to ensure women are truly heard in decision-making spaces?
I think we are progressing. We can do more, but we are progressing. I think the area which is not progressing is the male training, the men grooming,
Hmm.
where the mothers can play important role is prepare their sons for an equal life ahead. I think it's a grooming of the boys,
Hmm.
which is if you're grooming the
Absolutely.
girls to take up such like professions, are we
Hmm.
grooming our boys if they are preferring such a partner who's also got an
Hmm.
equal service, are they grooming them to lead equal lives, equally contributory home lives? But those men are very overworked. Many police officers are overworked,
Yes.
and where the woman is also overworked, that means how do they handle the family, the aging parents, the geriatrics? That's where the challenges come. So social ecosystems have to emerge. Senior citizen homes close by, geriatric care, boarding schools for children. So the ecosystem has to be built alongside as the society transforms. And it is
Correct.
transforming.
So, ma'am, how crucial is discipline and emotional resilience for women in high pressure public roles? Because you were just talking about it too.
I think their challenge is no more the profession. The challenge is
Hmm.
home life.
Okay.
Challenge for a working woman in such challenging profession is not the profession because that way she's mentally trained, she's also physically trained, and she's in a good position financially, she's provided for. I think the real challenge is the x factor is her marriage, is her
Hmm.
home, the home life. and the family support, which comes, parents, of course, groomed her. It's the home she is migrated to. She's a
Yes.
migrant. She migrates to. And maybe in certain situations, she may not migrate. She should not, social system should not compel her to migrate. Let her stay with her family support systems and let the partner in life or husband visit her time to time so that her school, her children, and everybody's taken care of. So rather than woman going to the man house and leaving all the support system, they can combine. How do they combine the two? See, a new dimension. So she doesn't migrate. She remains at home with the support system and also continues to be have a home life of her own. How does she do this? Is the real challenge.
Yes. But do you think our high achieving women, women who have achieved recognition and everything, are often judged more on their personality than policy? Do you see there are double standards?
Woman's personality, how she is, how she serves, how she delivers, how she conducts herself, does impact,
Hmm.
does
Yes,
matter, and it becomes an asset. It becomes an asset, or it also becomes a liability. Both.
absolutely.
Where is it not the situation with the men? Because
Hmm.
women are the new entrant. They are a novelty. They are a new creation. They are a diversity. And they are also an innovation or their new contribution. So the personality, how capable she is, how composed she is, how well dressed she is, how she conducts herself, how knowledgeable she is, how skilled she is, how collaborative she is, how confident she is, certainly matters. Whereas all these things are not tested as much as the men. Women are judged from how they look, how they
Yes.
conduct themselves, how they speak, how they conduct the meetings, and also how honest they are, how ethical they are. Ethical leadership is much more expected from the women than the men. Women are
Hmm.
presumed to be ethical unless they prove unethical. Men are a mix, and it's a lottery. Who will be very ethical and who would not be? It's a lottery.
Correct.
Whereas women are presumed to be ethical, and it's quite a
Hmm.
shock, a surprise when women break the ethics.
Yes. Ma'am, your reforms in Tihar actually humanized prisoners, many of them women. And if I have to ask you, how was your overall experience and what would you like to share?
The heart was entirely the purpose which I could direct it towards. And my
Hmm.
purpose was to take this detention center towards a reformatory.
Yes.
And that was my purpose, which I 100% fulfilled. And I created my total ecosystem myself along with my team. It's a team which I built around, and I was very fortunate to have a very good build a team, and we delivered. But the vision was that this will not be a punitive center. It will be
Hmm.
a reformatory center, which does not does not retribute but reform and restore justice. That was my vision, and that is how I led it. I led the team, but I had a very good team, and the team delivered, and I made sure the team also delivers. And we had this ecosystem. I had
But
the
were there any
NGOs.
challenges? What were the
Sorry,
challenges during that time?
challenges were indifference, sometimes hostility, sometimes questioning it, sometimes
Yes.
being envious, but you have to come along with it. That's where my challenge was. How do I deal with it? How do I deal with hostility? How do I deal with lack of resources? How do I deal with envy? How do I deal with obstructions? But we were, and that's where the teamwork works. That's where
Hmm.
my collaborative teamwork kept being my strength to guide me correctly, work with me to overcome those challenges. And we did. So that was a team success. The heart prison work was a team success. But
Yes.
I take the responsibility. It succeeded. But had it failed, it would have equally been my responsibility. But because it succeeded, yes, it did. But as I said, I was a leader and I had to be the leader. If I had not led it that way, it wouldn't, nobody was telling me to do, because the prison manual was not mandating me to make this punishing center to become a reform center. That was my
Hmm.
vision. That was my higher purpose for which I chose to take it towards. And then the team followed.
What were the most effective policing strategies you used to curb crime against women? And what does India still get wrong in preventing harassment?
I use, for me, my goal has always been prevention
Yes.
before we detect and we report. So my whole policing system was on crime prevention system. Prevent crime before, as you detect, and as you detect, move towards reform to further prevent. So it was a prevention pattern. So my police beat system, a policemen on the beat were my beat constables, whom I was interacting fully, very, very willingly, who would go about, and they were visiting houses of vulnerable families, which is women.
Hmm.
And for the first time during my time, we had women beat officers, women beat constables doing the beat. And today, women beat officers can be the rule.
Yes.
Who can take care of such houses where women are vulnerable and who are needing help? And third, wherever it was detected that a wife was suffering from domestic violence, wherever it was
Hmm.
detected, the husband was taken to task. Husband by the beat officer was taken to task. So there was a scare of getting caught. But there was also treatment facility. We also did not, we treated the man according to the need of the hour, whether it was arresting, whether it was a case
Hmm.
registration, whether it was counseling, whether it was medical treatment, if he was a drug addict or he was an alcoholic. So we were treating him according to the need. So he was being treated like police doctor does. Use the law accordingly and all within the law, all within the rules. So we were not mechanical in our approach.
But do
It
you
was
see
a
there are
very
gaps today?
it was a very sympathetic, compassionate approach. Compassion
Hmm.
towards the victim and compassion towards the person who's the perpetrator so that he stops recycling. So my whole policing has been preventive in its approach. But once detected, you work towards rehabilitation and correction and treatment. So sometimes the law treats you, sometimes jail is a treatment. Sometimes jail is a treatment. Jail is a treatment because it detains you and cleanses you in many ways. And then you, as you come out, the beat officer steps in again, visits you at home to see you are rehabilitated. So it was a very strong system of prevention, detection, and then rehabilitation, but according to the need of the hour. What is it that you can need? Is it prison? Or is it a bail? Is it a court system? Or is it an arrest? Or is it a family counseling center? Or is it a drug abuse alcoholic center?
Hmm.
Depends.
But ma'am, do you see there are the gaps? There are certain gaps.
Well, there are gaps because of the way you treat. It's a way you treat. Every doctor has his own ways of treatment. Here we were in a doctor in uniform. Every doctor has his own ways of treating. I had my own ways of treating. My own PhD is in domestic violence and drug abuse prevention. So I understood the patterns of domestic violence and worked on it. We were not only looking for the exact law, we were looking for preventive sections of law in dealing with domestic violence. And we succeeded a lot. We succeeded a lot. And
But
particularly
today,
when I took away
today,
illicit liquor off the streets, it benefited women hugely.
but today, ma'am, what is India getting wrong? I mean, in preventing harassment.
We need to come back to women beat officers.
Yes.
Women beat officers. The women beat officers. We can have a system of women beat officers who visit these, and they could go with the man. So rather than male beat officer, we can have a combination of woman and male beat officers visiting such vulnerable families to take care of crimes against women.
Yes.
Also, houses where the boys are deviant, the boys are out of school, the boys are delinquent. So those families, boys are corrected and the boys are sent back to school Boys are sent to skill development. Boys are brought under control because the victims are women. After all, the perpetrator is the boy, the man. So why not work with the men? So you want to work as a team approach. Male and a female beat officers visiting vulnerable families, could be women, could be even delinquent boys, deviant boys, boys out of school, boys who are truant, boys who are ruffians. Deal with them. Catch them early before they become criminals. Again, prevention, but a team approach of a male and a female team.
Ma'am, why do so many women still hesitate to approach police stations? And what is that you would like to say to women out there?
Why do so many women? Sorry, what did you say?
Why do so many women still hesitate to approach police stations?
Because they're not sure of the response. If we practice this in a perseverant way, that the male female beat officers will visit your beat regularly. Because in my case, when we were doing this, the rule of the beat officer was to visit 5 families in his area. That means if I had about 60 beat officers or 30 beat officers, 5 houses were being visited, not by entering the home, saying, I'm your beat officer, this is my card, this is my number, अगर कोई प्रॉब्लम है तो मुझे फोन कर सकते हो. And there was a
Hmm.
certainty of response. So moment women start getting to know the certainty of response, they will respond. But today you don't have to only visit. You can call 112 and ask for help. And there's a crimes against women cell, which will respond. So you have crimes against women cell, and you also have somebody calling on you, and you can also, and then the calling on will happen according to 112 report. So if the woman is assured that she will be responded,
Mhm.
she will, and prevention will happen. So both ways. And the quality of response, timing of response, and then she must know that there is a response. There will be a response. Many women don't know that this is treatable, this is preventable. They
Yes,
keep
they need a
suffering
building
because they
trust.
don't know. They are ignorant. So if you, and then let it publicize, the police can publicize that if any woman is suffering, call up 112. We have a male and a female joint visit. Joint visit.
Yes.
So the police
Ma'am,
control room van visit you.
correct. That one piece of advice that you would like to give to young women entering public service today, what it would be?
Prepare yourself to serve. Prepare to serve because the public service is demanding. And get into it because you truly love serving the people. Get into it for not position. It's not economy. It's public service. It will provide for you very well, but come into it because you truly love serving the people, love being of help. You have compassion in your heart, and you are neutral for men and women, and you are there for the victim, and also for reform, and for correction, and for prevention, and that you're also for integrity, honest applicant. And number two, constitute to be visible, walk the streets, meet the people, listen to them, hold town hall meetings with them, have neighborhood watch groups, neighborhood meetings with them, go to the panchayats, go to RWAs. Public service is this, is to connect with the people at all levels.
Yes. Ma'am, what is your message for International Women's Day to women out there?
Be equal participants in the growth of this country. Don't waste your time. Time is very, very precious. Choose your value, choose your purpose. Work from home or work from workplace, but choose while you bring up your families the way you want, the way you can. But don't suffer bad marriages. Don't suffer. Don't suffer violence. You have solutions, and remain economically strong and independent because economic empowerment is very, very vital. Don't give that up, and pay for the services which your family may be needing, whether it's geriatric care or elder care or children or boarding schools, and do self care as well. So don't give up on yourself. Be strong and healthy mentally, physically, emotionally, and be of value to society completely. Your own homes, your own neighborhoods, and the workplaces. But be of value. Don't devalue yourself. Value yourself, up value, and constantly upskill. You are of very without women, India will not become fully economically strong. No. So on both fronts, we need home front and work front and the social front.
Thank you so much for that powerful message, and thank you that you gave us the time. And I wish you happy Women's Day.
Thank you. Happy Women's
Thank
Day
you,
to you
ma'am.
all.
Thank you.